All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to City Hall. It's good to have everybody here and have a few guests here tonight, which I'll acknowledge them in just a moment. But for now, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. And if you will, join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I'll now pass it over to Councilmember Freeman for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. It's our practice to stand to salute the flag and say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor Williams,
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Caballero.
Here.
Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Present.
Councilmember Rist.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I am going to pass it over to Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Middleton for our first celebration item.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good evening to you, to my honorable colleagues on the dais, to all in chamber with us tonight, and to our neighbors and friends on whatever platform you may be watching. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I have the privilege of reading a very serious proclamation, a proclamation for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, which affects so many Americans and people right here in our Durham community. And I'm going to ask Mr. Chris Bigger to come forward from the Durham Colorectal Cancer Community and Duke Cancer Institute, if he's here. Come on up, buddy. Thank you for being with us. Absolutely. Proclamation. Whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States, with an estimated 53,010 fatalities in 2024, a slight increase over last year's estimated 52,550. And whereas in 2024, approximately 152,810 individuals in the United States were diagnosed with colorectal cancer, comprising 81,540 men and 71,270 women. Of these cases, an estimated 106,590 will be colon cancer and 46,220 will be rectal cancer. Colorectal cancer affects men and women of all racial and ethnic groups, with increased risk as individuals age, particularly those aged 45 years or older. And whereas historically marginalized populations, including racial and ethnic minorities, are disproportionately impacted by colorectal cancer, with African Americans experiencing higher incidence and mortality rates. Colorectal is often preventable, treatable, and beatable, and increased screening can save lives. And whereas Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month provides an opportunity for organizations and health practitioners in Durham to promote awareness of screening, increase access to screenings, and advocate for those affected by and surviving colorectal cancer. And whereas the City of Durham encourages individuals to discuss family medical history with their healthcare providers, maintain a healthy lifestyle, and undergo recommended screenings to decrease the risk of colorectal cancer and increase survivorship rates. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Durham, and urge all citizens to observe this month with appropriate actions such as screenings. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this the first day of March 2025. Leonardo Williams, Mayor.
I want to thank Mayor Williams and all of City Council and the citizens of Durham. I stand here today as a 36-year-old survivor. I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer when I was 34. I never imagined this disease would affect me so young, but the reality is that it's affecting younger and younger people at an alarming rate. I'm here today because of groundbreaking treatments like immunotherapy that aren't available to patients across the board. And the reason is because funding for this research is very difficult to come by. This proclamation is more than just words, it's a call to action. We have to keep advocating, and I will keep doing what I'm doing, speaking my words, and using my voice to push for progress in those regards. So thank you all.
Thank you for that. I'll now pass it over to Councilmember Caballero.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be reading the next proclamation, and I think that we have, if Morgan Whitfield is in the audience or in the crowd, and anyone, all of y'all are welcome to come up.
All of you, come on up.
Yep. Whereas March 12th, 2025 marks the 113th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the United States of America, the largest and most impactful leadership program for girls in the world. The Girl Scout movement began on March 12th, 1912, when Juliet Daisy Gordon Lowe, a native of Savannah, Georgia, organized a group of 18 girls and provided them with the opportunity to develop physically, intellectually, socially, and spiritually. And whereas for over a century, Girl Scouts of the United States of America has advanced its mission to build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place, more than 50 million women, trailblazers, visionaries, and leaders are Girl Scout alums who have made the world a better place. And whereas since its beginnings, Girl Scouts has emphasized public service and civic engagement and has fostered a sense of community in girls. Girl Scouts support their mental health and is an accepting, secure place where they feel free to be themselves, and where leaders and other girls are sources of support during difficult times. And whereas at a time when civics education is missing from many schools, Girl Scouts engages girls of all grade levels in civics programming that deepens their understanding of community action, democracy, and government, prepares them for a lifetime of civic engagement, and motivates them to take action on issues that are important to them. And whereas Girl Scouts offer girls 21st century programming in science, technology, engineering, and math, the outdoors, entrepreneurship, and beyond, helping girls develop invaluable life skills. And whereas, as a member organization of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts is part of an international sisterhood of 10 million girls and young women in 152 countries, and is committed to offering girls more opportunities to engage with communities worldwide, make meaningful global connections, and explore global citizenship. Girl Scouts North Carolina Coastal Pines serves 17,734 girls across North Carolina. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 12th, 2025 as National Girl Scout Day in the City of Durham, and urge all citizens to Girl Scouts North Carolina Coastal Pines and the Girl Scout movement. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this third day of March, 2025.
Firstly, I would like to thank the City of Durham and thank you to our Honorable City Council for having us here today for the Girl Scout Proclamation. My name is Ruby Benson, and I have been a Girl Scout for nearly a decade with my cadet troop 21. Girl Scouts has been a driving force in my life and the path my fellow Scouts and I have taken. Scouting provides girls with opportunities to develop leadership skills, engage in community service, learn outdoor survivor skills, participate in entrepreneurship through cookie sales, and foster a strong sense of sisterhood. We have been given back to our wonderful Durham community, like many other troops, by helping build a little library and creating an all-natural scent garden for the Animal Protection Society of Durham shelter dogs. This year, we have been working towards our silver award by building feral cat houses and cat carriers that aid in the trap, neuter, vaccinate, release, TNVR process with stray cats. What's especially great is that my troop is not alone in Durham. Girl Scouts are making a difference every day in the Bill City. In fact, today, there are more than 50,000 Girl Scouts registered in North Carolina today. And we have some impressive alumni, including Senator Elizabeth Dole, poet Maya Angelou, and former NC Secretary of State Elaine Marshall. Being a Girl Scout is so important to me and many other young women in our great city. We are honored to be a part of this proclamation, and thank you for having us here tonight.
Okay, so here's a little secret, and you can't tell anybody, but my mom used to be one of the troop leaders, and I was a mama's boy. And she said, you have to join the Boy Scouts. And I didn't want to go with those guys. I didn't know who they were, so I went with my mom. So I was an honorary Girl Scout for like a year. I turned out all right, I guess. This is in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I eventually joined the Boy Scouts until we went camping and we were on an ant bed. And I said, okay, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Thank you all for being here. All right, so at this point in time, I get to talk about how cool the jackets are of the Million Mile Club. So if you all in the cool jackets could join me up here. Check these jackets out, guys. Come on up here with me then. We're gonna give them some height dynamics.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so I have the honor tonight of bragging on our illustrious GoDurham bus drivers. So GoDurham's fixed route bus operators drive 40-foot buses on the city streets of Durham for 8 to 10 and occasionally 12 hours per day, 5 days a week. They do this in an uncontrolled environment while stopping at bus stops every block or two, picking up and dropping off bus riding customers who are traveling to and from places of importance. The intensity of this kind of operation cannot be overstated. Even minor lapses in concentration can have disastrous results. Small errors can easily result in costly damage to equipment, property, or other vehicles. GoDurham's top priority is safety. Part of GoDurham's comprehensive approach to delivering the safest transportation services possible is to recognize and reward safe working behaviors and achievements by our valued employees. In 2022, GoDurham started a new program called the Million Mile Club. To be in this club, a bus operator must have driven 1 million miles or more in service in a fixed route 40-foot bus, and over the course of those miles, avoid incurring a single preventable accident. On average, it takes 12 years of service to travel 1 million miles. For obvious reasons, achieving this milestone award is a very difficult and an amazing accomplishment. Those who have achieved it are very few, and are now a part of an elite club at GoDurham. Over the last year, 3 operators reached this elite status. One operator has become only the second in history to reach 2 million miles. I don't know if we really hear what's happening, but this is pretty dang impressive. So, as a fellow CDL holder, and still have my CDLs, I just want to personally thank you guys. And I know it's really simple, but I love just waving at you all you drive by. And you never take your hands off the wheel. You just nod your head. It's like, you know, they got it together. They're so professional. So I don't take it personal that you don't wave back. I just know you're doing your job. And thank you all. This is impressive. And this is history making in Durham, but this is history making, period, in the entire industry. There are not many people across this entire country and this nation that can say they've accomplished this. So y'all rock those jackets with pride. I'd like to pass it over to Director of Transportation, Mr. Sean Egan.
You know, we talk a lot about the contribution that essential workers make in our community. And essential workers make it possible for people to be there at our hospitals, our dialysis centers, our skilled nursing facilities, our grocery stores and pharmacies. And we saw that throughout the pandemic, and we continue to see how essential this work is. And I think today is a real testament to not only how essential this work is, but the skill and professionalism of being able to navigate a 40-foot bus through our streets with some reckless drivers out there who aren't paying attention. These folks are always paying attention. They're always focused on the safety of our customers and the safety of our community, and that is our absolute #1 priority. So I am so proud to be here with this esteemed group in these beautiful leather jackets, and really proud of the contribution that they make and the recognition that they're receiving tonight for this extraordinary achievement.
Pardon me as I put some respect on your name. Stand up here if you will. Miss Tanya Burnett, 24 years, 2 million miles. 2 million? 2 million miles. Wow. Gosh. 24 years with GoDurham. 25, get it right now. All right, thank you. Ms. Wanda Dunn, 14 years. Trenton Jones, 13 years. And George Williams, 18 years. Just so you can go back, you see the TV screen, your names and your record is up there. So we're gonna make sure that's there for the record. Oh, boy. All right. All right. So those are our ceremonial items. I'm now going to pass it over to our colleagues for any announcements. Councilmember Cook, it's on you.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Really just so floored by that demonstration. I love that Sean always introduced me to people as Councilmember Cook. She writes the number one, so I love that. I'm known to everyone that Sean introduces me to by my bus line, and I would encourage folks who have not done so to ride the bus. I love taking the bus to work. We are working on having more stops, more transfer options, and more frequency on some of our higher ridership lines, but it is a safe and really lovely way to commute through Durham, and it is free. And hopefully will continue to be so, which leads me into my first announcement, which is just to thank my colleagues and staff. We had an excellent budget retreat this past Friday. Things are really scary, I think, in Durham and in the country. We are losing lots of federal funding. In Durham specifically, you have seen that there's been a reappraisal that's done by the county. Those are not numbers that we can address in any way, but what we do talk about is what the tax rate should be after these amounts of home ownership go up. And so was an interesting conversation, and I think a hard conversation for many of us about that on Friday. We will be continuing to work on that throughout this budget season up through the end of June. That being said, we had a prioritization of all of the council members' budget requests, and I think what we saw was a real dedication to making Durham safer and just better for the folks who actually live here. I talk about fare-free buses. That was the #1 priority when they tallied everyone's prioritization list. Homelessness strategy consultant was the second. Some other things that were up there were an expansion of HEART, which is our alternative safety team, emergency response team. So some really awesome things that I think are sort of talking about root issues that a lot of Durhamites are experiencing. So that was really great, and I just wanted to shout out the staff who did such a good job supporting us. We were there all day and making sure that we were fed and could do that hard work that we needed to do. And that, again, that was all public and available online if anybody wants to watch that. The second thing is that I just want to send out a bit of good thoughts to the folks in Southwest North Carolina and also in South Carolina who are affected by the fires. That is something that we, I think, unfortunately are going to continue to see more of in this day and age with climate change and all the other negative impacts that development has on us. So just sending good thoughts out that direction. And then my very last thing is just wanted to announce that White Flag shelters are open for this week. White Flag is extra shelter for folks who are unhoused. If you know anybody, do check on them. If you kind of walk past folks and you know them by name, make sure that they know this information. This means that the weather is dropping to below a certain temperature, and so they're opening up extra space for folks to sleep if they need a place to be warm overnight. That is going to be running this Monday, so tonight, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. So we'll be having cold temperatures on those 4 nights, and that is occurring back at Yates Baptist Church. It is 2819 Chapel Hill Road. It is on a bus line, and there are other options for folks getting there. So if they need to reach out, please do so to coordinated entry and our HEART program as well. Those are my announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you for those announcements, Councilmember Cook, and thank you for everyone who is here today and who's watching at home. The Delta's in the crowd. It's good to see you all. Just wanted to piggyback off of something that Councilmember Cook mentioned, which was the budget retreat on Friday. I do think that it's worth it to go online. Mentioned this last time. If you Google Durham City Council budget retreat, you'll be able to find the budget page. It has a lot of information about current future and past budgets and budget processes, and I really think that it's worth it, even if you don't have to, you don't want to watch 8 hours of meetings. You can go online and see the PowerPoint presentations. If you're looking for something more general, our first budget retreat, which was on the 14th, I think is a really good one to look at. This last one, I think, did a deeper dive. Some of the issues that we talked about included transit and parking funds, sustainability, solid waste, and then city council budget requests. So I think it's worth taking a look at that if it's something that you're interested in. And the first budget public hearing for the next fiscal year is going to be March 17th right here in the council chambers. This weekend, I was able to attend the Bull City Stop the Gun Violence Vigil along with other colleagues of mine, the Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Freeman. Was anybody else there? Okay. Several of us were able to attend it. Commissioner Mike Lee was there, and it was moving to be in that space and listen to so many different stories and people that are directly and indirectly impacted by our biggest crisis, which is losing young people in our city. We just lost someone else today or yesterday, along with traffic accidents. Those are the two biggest killers of young people, and I think someone was just hit on Fayetteville Road today. And then I was also able to attend recently the Durham Workers Assembly meeting, which is a very, very uplifting meeting despite the challenges that lie ahead of us. The agenda was about how workers are fighting the billionaires' agenda. There was the National Domestic Workers Alliance was present. The National Nurses United was there, USSW, and then local immigrant leaders were all participating in conversation and discussions about how workers can fight back in this current era that we find ourselves in. The organizers around from CAUSE, the folks who were organizing at the Amazon warehouse in Garner, RDU1, were there to discuss some of the lessons learned from their organizing efforts. And there were a lot of wonderful takeaways. So I'm just going to read some of the takeaways, some of the quotes that I heard while I was there. People said, "We've got to stay united like never before. We're going to protect our veterans, even if that means protecting them from the federal government. We need to get out of our bubbles and talk to people we're not used to speaking to in places where we may be uncomfortable. We need to show everyone everything that we have in common. We know we live in the worst state, the state of North Carolina for workers, but we need to be able to dream. We want all kinds of people at the table to affect policy change. And even though we work in different sectors, our mission is the same. And I think these were all really important takeaways that I took, and I wanted to share them with you all. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate my colleagues' comments, and also want to thank staff for a really good two budget retreats. Also want to thank Parks and Rec and everyone else involved with the grand reopening of Wheels. Many of us were there on Thursday. I saw several staff skating. My understanding is it was sold out all weekend long, which was incredible. And I will have to say, for those of us who were lucky enough to be on council, I stand by it was one of the best and easiest decisions ever made, was being able to purchase that property, and to see so many delighted community members, especially in this moment where my colleagues have talked about some of the challenging moments we're facing. It was great to just be doing something really celebratory and joyful. On Friday, along with many of my colleagues up here, there was the vigil, and then afterwards, Judea Reform held a Shabbat for refugees, and it was an incredible, moving ceremony and service. And I will say that that was also the first night of Ramadan, so Ramadan Mubarak for those who celebrate. And I think part of the reason that for me the Shabbat was so moving was that Judea Reform hosts or sponsors refugees from various parts of the world. and one of the families that they sponsored were in attendance that night, and they were Muslim. And so I think in this moment, when we often think that there is not a path forward, that everything seems dark and challenging, it was very inspiring to me to see a family who had fled Afghanistan and be sponsored by a local Jewish synagogue here in Durham. And a beautiful relationship has formed from that, and Judea Reform has helped resettle many, many refugees across our city, so I really want to lift up the work that they do. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I want to say happy Women's History Month to you all. Just acknowledging it's only been a short 37 years of celebrating the women who have created the fierce fabric of what we call the United States. And I just wanted to just take a moment and say I really appreciate what women bring to the context of who I am and where we are. And I did want to just note just a couple of women in our own history, brief recent history, who have been mayors in this city. It's only been 2 women in over 150 years, and that being Sylvia Kirkhoff and Elaine O'Neill. Just a sharing. I did also just want to say congratulations to those million milers. I know how difficult it is to navigate in this city with all the construction, and it's amazing to get to 2 million miles. I did have a note. Trying to remember. Okay, so I did want to ask my colleagues for an excused absence. I don't think I'll need it, but I do want to make sure I have it just in case. On Thursday, almost finished here with my Leadership North Carolina classes. And so this Thursday, I'll be requesting excused absence. And also, just a big shout out to all the Girl Scouts. As a Girl Scout, once a Girl Scout, always a Girl Scout. But as a Girl Scout and a part of that global citizenship, I think it's really honorable that our mayor thought to honor them this evening. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion at this time to excuse Councilmember Freeman on Thursday.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close. Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
What's W6? Could you just make sure the voting is recorded properly? Someone is titled W6. I'm not sure who it is. It may have been Councilmember Cook. No, Baker. It's in alphabetical order, right? Yeah. You think I'm picking on you all the time. All right, Councilmember Rist.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for those in attendance and those watching online. Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciated your resolution or proclamation about the million milers. That's an amazing accomplishment. So cool. And, you know, I just think about in this time where, like, what we hear from DC is like, you know, what have you done in the last week, right? No one here in Durham is asking our staff what they've done in the last week, because if you ask the folks there, it's like, yeah, I've been getting up at 4:45 in the morning, and I'm driving my next million miles, that nobody's getting hurt, and we're keeping our folks safe. And by the way, it's a 40-foot bus in city streets. That's amazing stuff. So thanks for sharing that, and thanks for the folks who are here. I also thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for your resolution about Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. As the oldest guy up on the dais here, I just want to remind you all to do get screened. Check your family medical history. As the resolution said, above 45, you got to be careful about that. Just so y'all know, I'm going on Monday to get screened. Y'all know what that means. So remember to do what you got to do to stay safe. Also, Mayor Pro Tem, I wanted to thank you so much for leading the Town and State dinner that we went to last week. So the mayor, Councilmember Caballero, and I all joined Mayor Pro Tem, who is the chair of the North Carolina League of Municipalities. for their annual Town and State Dinner. What an amazing event, a lot of fun, but also, you know, the panels you all put together really talk about how we, even though it's a charged, like, partisan time, at our best we can actually, in this state, work together. As you said in your comments, right? Some of the state partnership we have, or partnership we have with the state, includes a ton of infrastructure stuff: water, wastewater, parks, transportation. So thanks for your comments. Thanks for helping to organize that dinner. And I hope that even in this moment where we've got a charged partisan environment in Raleigh, that we can work together in critical ways that bring value to our citizens. So thank you so much. The last thing I want to say, like, I think Councilmember Caballero mentioned Wheels. We had so much fun at the Wheels grand opening. What an event. What a great way for the city to provide value for our residents. And, you know, I'm so appreciative of Councilmember Caballero, Mayor Pro Tem. Were you here, Leo, for that vote? What an amazing way to, like, oh, yeah, Councilmember Freeman, yeah. This is a unique model of how local government provides a model for how we can provide value to our residents. I mean, you've got a park that was like a Durham institution. We all got our stories about Wheels, right? We all have them. Owners wanted to sell, but they wanted to keep it a recreational space. And so, like, who's got the expertise and the dollars? So they came to the city. We agreed to acquire it. It was going to be a splash park, and the residents came to us and said, like, hey, y'all, aren't you going to keep the roller skating rink? And so we also do community engagement here in Durham. So we said, all right, let's have a conversation about that. So we have now brought that community institution back into public ownership, open to everyone, and I'm so excited about Wheels. It's one of my highlights so far in the council was being there for that grand opening. And so thank you, city government. Thank you for all the residents for making that possible for everyone. And I hope you all go enjoy Wheels. And like, we almost fell down, right? It was fun. Mayor, you were like amazing. And Javier, you were like great moves out there. I'm just glad I didn't fall. It was so much fun. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got it. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for really, really excellent announcements tonight. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that, for recognizing our million milers. Those jackets are really, really nice. Can't get one, but they're really, really, really nice. Got to do what you got to do to get one. Longtime rider of Durham Transit. Used to be a number 5 boy. Now I'm a number 2 bus line guy. I want to associate myself with Councilmember Cook. Please use them. The buses also have Wi-Fi. They are air conditioned. They're clean. They have Wi-Fi. So please use our bus system, and they're free, as Councilmember Cook pointed out. So congratulations to our million milers, and 2 million miles without an accident. I'm not gonna tell you all my record, but in a car, I don't drive a 40-foot long bus. So thank you so much to our million milers. I want to send a special shout out and welcome. I know, Your Honor, you will do it from the center seat, but had a wonderful conversation with the distinctive ladies of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Durham Alumni Chapter, and thank you so much for gracing City Hall tonight and for gracing the chamber tonight and for a substantive conversation as well before. So thank you so much for being here, and I know, Mayor, you will have more to say about that. What can we say about Wheels? Get there. Everybody that's watching this, if you can't skate, do like me. Put the skates on and just play the corner. That's what I used to do, just play the corner. I'm waiting for the old heads to come show up with the whistles, though. I didn't hear no whistles in there, but Wheels is just amazing. Councilmember Riss, you're right. Councilmember Caballero, you are absolutely right. When we are no longer in these seats and we look back at our time in government, this will definitely be one of the high moments. Skating is back in Durham, so please go. Saw some of those folk doing all the tricks, and some icons and legends from back in the day came back out and were at Wheels. It was just such a wonderful feeling. It's a sacred space. There's so many people with so many stories attached to Wheels. It's a skating rink, yeah, but for Durham, it's a sacred space. And I hope all of you who are watching on TV or whatever platform and in the chamber will get a chance to go by there. Thank you, Councilmember Baker, for pointing out the Stop the Gun Violence rally. To my colleagues who attended this past weekend, there were some challenges to us who hold elective office. There were some challenges to us, and I hope that we were listening and take what was said seriously. We're very influential people, and I wish we were as powerful as people think we are, but we do have some power, and we do have some influence, and we do have the ability to craft some important policy here in our city. It is the #1 issue facing us, and as I've said time and time again, as great as Durham is, we will not be measured by the height of our skyscrapers or how great our restaurants are or what's playing at DPAC. We will be measured by how safe the most vulnerable people are in our city among us. We will always have an asterisk next to our celebrations. They will always be muted until we deal with this scourge of gun violence. And it is a national problem nonetheless, but what we can do locally, we should and ought do to do right by our people. Thank you, Councilmember Riss. One of the cool things I do as president of the North Carolina League of Municipalities is convene a town and state dinner. I want to thank all of the legislators from across our state who came, and I was so, you look out at all those people, and they're all friendly, but we say in my faith tradition, bring some amens with you. Take some of your folk with you and put them in the audience, and it felt good to see Councilmember Caballero and Councilmember Riss, in your honor of the mayor, in the audience that night for our town and state dinner. So thank you so much on behalf of the league, on behalf of myself. Finally, happy Women's History Month to all, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you again, Mayor, for some great proclamations tonight. Look forward to getting good work done tonight. I yield.
Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for in the audience for being here as well. It is Women's History Month, and I enjoy the luxury of going home every night and seeing my beautiful wife, who's a history maker herself. From her to our mother to the beautiful women in our community, thank you. Thank you for the history that you make every single day. Speaking of the women in our community, I would like to give a shout out to the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta and Sorority Incorporated for being here tonight. They are here in droves, and they're doing a little more than just sitting in the audience. They are coming with the challenge of, what are we doing here at the city, and how they can not only just question. Many people come and just question, but they're coming. Not only asking what's happening, but also how can they help make it better. And I invite that type of action any day. So I thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for meeting with us, a few of us before the meeting started tonight. Mr. Cowell. Is it Cowell? Thank you for your service as a page at the General Assembly from Wissett, North Carolina, and now here in Durham in the Bull City. It looks good on you. Keep in touch. All right. So yeah, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to working with you beyond today. So I had quite the last week. I can't believe it's only been a week, but I spoke at a TED Talk not long ago, and then had the State of the City address. And the State of the City was an amazing experience, and went to do some work across the country. It's been a lot of travel lately representing the city of Durham. But again, I want to thank everyone for coming out to the State of the City this year. It was bigger than last year, and I'm just floored with the excitement of the support as we brag on the city and all the things that are happening. Some of the things that are happening, I actually cut a lot out of it this year, but this is a great city. Durham is dope. We have our budget hearings coming up really soon, so please make sure, as Councilmember Baker said, tune in to the last two budget retreats so you can know what we're talking about. And we have the public budget hearings coming up. Do we have those dates? Off the top of your head?
March 17th is our first one. I don't have the second.
And that'll be here?
Yes.
Okay, so here in 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have our first budget public hearing right here in City Hall. You may come, sign up, and speak on that agenda item and share your interest about the budget, and let it, just have your influence on it. As I've said earlier, I personally don't have a political agenda. I just, mainly focus my energy on facilitating the allocation of resources to the public. There's one focus, and that is just making sure that our city is a safe environment for our young people to grow up in. And that'll be my keen focus in this budget. And I look at that through every subject matter that we address. So make sure, folks, that you sign up to come and speak and just be involved in that process. If you're not involved in the process, getting involved in the process afterward has a little less impact. With that being said, speaking of budget and money, folks are receiving their tax information in the mail. And I have heard of a few folks passing out. So this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, colleagues, this is basically where we are value-wise. And this is not your tax rate. Your tax rate has yet to be determined, but this is your current value. And there are several resources in place. You can go to the county's tax office to, once you get those tax rates or whatever, or appeals, the values, the valuation, you can, you can always do an appeal if needed over at the county tax office. I think there are, do we still have grant programs for our senior citizens? Yeah.
Low-income hunter relief, yeah.
Yep, so we have grant programs for our senior citizens. I've been spending all morning, I spent all morning today calling residents back. Most of them were our senior citizens, and they were worried about, they saw the valuation, they just got really worried. And a resident told me, she said, I want to die in my home. I don't want to have to move. I said, we have resources to help you out, but you don't have your tax rate yet. But we're not in the business of kicking folks out and moving people away. We want to make sure that you are growing with this community, and we're going to make sure that the resources are there to reflect that as such. So I am working on getting a statement. Getting a statement out there so we can spread it far and wide so folks can know exactly where we are in the process. And when you get your tax rate, now you have evaluations, what steps you can take now. So don't over panic just yet. But yes, Durham is growing, and this is a very, very complex and layered formula that the county is required by law to put in place. But we've been doing presentations all over the city, and they are online as well. But please just reach out to the county tax office if you need clarification. Or you can call me. I'm just going to call the tax office and have them get in touch with you. But we will get you the information that you need. Will's Fun Park, I actually really enjoyed it. I grew up in Rocky Mount where we went to Sports World, which is kind of the same thing. And I used to skate every single weekend, so this was quite nostalgic. I skated pretty well the other night after not skating in about 10 years. I only failed once, and that's when the news wanted to catch me. So media, please, stop capturing the worst of moments.
So you were the first on the rink,
I was the first on the floor. It was really tight. So I don't recommend skating on with fresh skates on a freshly waxed floor. You gotta loosen it up a little bit, get some dirt on it, get some sand, so you can cross over well. But I'm so grateful to have our amusement park back. The skating rink is open, and we're expanding that property to be, our amusement park in Durham. Mayor Pro Tem, I know we've talked about it, but thank you for hosting an amazing Town and State Dinner. And just so for you all who don't know, the Town and State Dinner is when the president of the North Carolina League of Municipalities bring together local elected officials with state legislatures all over the political aisles together in a room, sit us together, and we dine together. And the folks that you see on TV talking the crazy stuff, and the folks that are over here marching and fighting and protesting this and doing all this, we're all in the same room. And we have to have dinner together, and that is one of the highlights of the year. It's not political, it's collegial. And I enjoy that dinner every single year. So you put on a great dinner this year, Mayor Pro Tem. Great job. And to our colleagues that came and had a quorum dinner, because there was a lot of us there, but thank you all for coming and being there as well. Next week, I I'll be in Washington, D.C. with the Yale's Mayors and CEOs Summit, but I'll also be there with the National League of Cities, spending time with Congress. Pray for your mayor. Spending time with Congress, making sure that we are trying to get some messaging there of what's happening here at the local level. I know, Mayor Pro Tem, you'll be there. Councilmember Freeman, are you headed to D.C.? Yep. So anybody else headed up to D.C.? Okay. So some of us will be in D.C. On Capitol Hill next week, and just, really talking to Durham Show about what's happening here at the local level and why it's important. I don't want to end on a negative note, so I want to get this out of the way. I've been made aware of an individual that's been going around town berating bars and clubs and making vile threats. And I'm not even going to mention their name. They don't deserve it. But I do want folks to know that we take, discrimination and hatred in Durham very seriously. And our police chief and her department are all over it. And I can say on the record, if you think that this is okay, this is not Washington, D.C. You'll be arrested if you make threats on anyone in the city like that. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Dr. Malcolm DeBon at Duke Orthopedics, he leads the trauma orthopedic surgery department. He's also a good friend, and one day we just had a conversation, and he was, just listening to my frustration about the fact that we're losing so many of our kids, so many of our young people, young men especially, young black men to be specific about it, and losing them to gun violence. And the ones we don't lose, still, there's a great number that are being impacted by gun violence. We hear the news story, or the council, we get the actual alert on our phones every time there's a homicide in this community, before it even gets to the media. The media then reports it, the family finds out, and then the doctors receive them in the emergency room. And this is taking a toll on everyone. And I refuse to allow this to be normalized in the Bull City. So I'm going to continue to talk about it, but I'm going to do more than talk about it. We're going to do things about it. So I want to highlight the Duke Orthopedic Surgery Department and partnering with us out of the mayor's office to reduce the amount of young black men entering the emergency room due to gun violence. And we have partnered in drafting a grant and received it through Johnson & Johnson in partnership with Duke Health. This partnership will engage in community assets, bringing resources together, yes, but also when I say assets, human assets. We're going into the barbershops across the city, and we're going to fund this program and this outreach, and we're going to work with barbershops, and we're going to work with barbers to engage in intimate conversations with these young fellas that are going in there. That, as a black man, the barbershop is our therapy session. That's where we go and we just put it all out there. So our barbers are under-recognized as the impact that they have on our community socially. And so this program will engage our barbers to engage with our young men to try and steer them a different direction. And I appreciate Duke Health and Johnson & Johnson and this grant, which is supportive of the Bull City Future Fund as well, as we try and reduce the amount of young black men entering the hospital due to gun violence. So Dr. Malcolm DeBon and your team at Duke, thank you for this partnership. And we'll continue to try and do more things, including the financial literacy tour that out of my office, we launched the mayor's personal finance playbook, which is a tour around the city on financial literacy and economic empowerment. This is in partnership with the African American Mayors Association. So there's a lot of things that are happening in our community. I believe that if we can empower our people and change the environment in which they're living, then we should see different outcomes. But it will take our community at large to be a part of this. And with that being said, last thing here, I am fully aware of what's happening in Washington. I'm fully aware the impact that it has on us here at the local level. I don't like being antagonistic because I don't want our community members to be targeted. But what I can say to the folks in DC is it's very different when you're at the local level. At the local level, if a resident, a citizen has an issue, they come and they look us right in the eyes in person and tell us how they feel about whatever policies and decisions we're making. Oftentimes when you're in Washington, you enjoy the luxury of not having to face that. So therefore, you're held a little less accountable. But I do believe the strength of this nation should be built from the bottom up, as well as diplomacy. The dignity and respect that this country has, it builds up from the bottom. So when I think of America, I think about what it looks like here in Durham. And when people think about what's happening at the national level, see it for what it is, but control what you can control. That is us, here at the local level, how we interact with one another. That's what matters most. So be proud of who you are, be proud of the city you live in, because this is what we can control. I will send this message I will take this message to Washington next week. Tonight at 7 p.m. on CNN, there is a featured story, CNN Investigates. You'll see your mayor and as well as some other residents here in Durham talking about the impact of U.S. aid and the cuts. We have about 2,700 workers here. We have 300 that have been laid off and furloughed who don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. And I am working on an op-ed to highlight this. And colleagues, you should have circulated in your inboxes that resolution. I'm going to take one final read at it and make some adjustments. And I hope that we can discuss that at work session on Thursday and bring that for us. And if all goes well, I will invite those workers who've been furloughed and laid off to City Hall with us. I'll be taking similar approaches to some of the other areas that are affecting us here locally, immigration, how it's affecting our local economy. But yeah, we FHI, RTI, EPA, NIH, we are getting hit hard. And I want our residents to know that we're going to stand up, for them and with them. There are some things that I hope we'll be able to do here at the local level, such as jobs that are available in the private and public sector, placing them in the forefront so that folks can be able to apply for those jobs. But we have Durhamites that are getting laid off and furloughed because someone who runs a social media campaign or application is, I'm going to stop talking. I see Madam Attorney looking at me and, all right, I'll finish it. Someone who's running a social media platform is trying to run our country, and that's not going to happen. Anyway, thank you all for coming tonight who's here, and let's get to business. All right. Thanks, colleagues, for your patience with my long comments tonight. I can hear Javier over there saying, is he still talking? All right. So at this time, I will pass it over to City Manager, Mr. Manager, for priority items.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. The City Manager's office has just one priority item this evening. That's to announce that for agenda item number 9, the 2024 fourth quarter crime report, there was additional information that council requested during the February 2025 work session, and that has been added to your packet. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Attorney.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. The City Attorney's office has no priority items this evening.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. It's good to see you. The City Clerk's office has no items this evening.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I will read the consent agenda. Item number 1, Durham Planning Commission appointment. Item number 2, Human Relations Commission appointment. Number 3, Procurement Card, P-Card Performance Audit, January 2025. Number 4, Boards, Committees, Commissions, Task Force Calendar Year 2024 Annual Attendance Reports. Number 5, Durham Convention and Visitors Bureau, DBA, Discover Durham 2024 Annual Report. Number 6, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Program Grant Project Ordinance for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. Number 7, Public Works Operations Center Renovation Construction Manager at Risk Agreement with C.T. Wilson Construction Company, Incorporated. Number 8, Housing Appeals Board Annual Report for fiscal year 2024. Number 9, 2024 Fourth Quarter Crime Report. Number 10, Amendment number 2 to Services Contract for Water Quality web portal repair and maintenance for the stormwater quality program. Number 11, supplemental agreement number 3 to master agreement number 18906 with Exalt Engineering PC for multimodal safety improvements to Guest Road. Number 12, supplemental agreement number 5 to master agreement number 18925 with WSP USA Incorporated for design of multimodal safety improvements of city-maintained roads. Number 13, supplemental agreement number 3 to master agreement number 18919 with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for design of two-way conversion of Roxborough Street and Magnum Street. Number 14, second amendment to the contract with RATP Development USA Incorporated for the management, operation, and maintenance of the GoDurham fixed route transit system. Number 15, GoDurham fiscal 2024 annual report. Number 16, governing agreements for the 2025-2028 City of Durham Transportation on-call professional services and engineering services and data collection. Number 17, construction contract award to Carolina Civil Works Incorporated for the 2025 water and sewer point repair. Number 18, construction contract to Carolina Civil Works Incorporated for the fiscal year 25 unscheduled pipeline and plant repairs project. Number 19, construction award to TerraFlex Group LLC for the Albany Peachtree Gaddis Waterline Replacement Project. Number 20, construction contract for TerraFlex Group LLC for the fiscal year fiscal year 25 unscheduled pipeline and plant repairs project. And number 23, Clegg Drive Street Closing, which will be a public hearing. All right.
Move to adopt consent.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close. That's what I mean, W6.
I switched out the batteries and it still didn't fix it, so.
Okay.
It's not.
Is it Councilmember Cooks? Okay, whose is it then?
Actually, that's a phantom voting system.
It's me.
Okay. All right.
Councilmember Rist.
It's not Councilmember Cook then. All right.
All right, the vote is 7-0.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right. Now, we're prepared for the staff report.
Good evening. My name is Jaleesa Harris, Staff Planner, Major Development Review in the Planning Department. Staff requests that all Planning Department testimony and materials presented be made part of permanent record. The street closing request SC2400001 is for the permanent closure of the entirety of Clegg Drive to allow recombination of the right-of-way with adjacent parcels identified with RAIDs 157, 871, 157, 900, 157, 901, and 157, 870. The recombination is shown on the associated street closing and recombination plat attachment D. The applicant wishes to close the street to allow for the construction of a multifamily residential development. The right-of-way is only improved with gravel driveways serving the adjacent parcels, and there is no provision for a future connection to other streets. If the proposed street closure is approved by council pursuant to North Carolina General Statute Section 160D-501 and 160D-605, the parcels identified with RAIDs 157, 871, 157, 900, 157, 901, and 157, 870 as recombined with the former dedicated right-of-way should be designated mixed residential neighborhood on the place type map of the comprehensive plan. North Carolina General Statute Section 160A-299 requires that the governing body make two findings prior to closing any street or alley. These are, number one, closing the street or alley is not contrary to the public interest, and number two, No individual owning property in the vicinity of the street or alley or in the subdivision in which it is located would be deprived of reasonable means of ingress or egress to that property. This request was submitted to service agencies for review and comment. All substantive comments were addressed during the review of the case, and the applicant is present for any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Are there any questions for staff? All right. I'll now declare this public hearing open. Right. Is the applicant here, Marcus or Michael? All right. I don't have any signups, so therefore I'll declare the public hearing closed and back before the council. Council, are there any? Yes, sir.
I don't think this is going to be, unless I have any surprises up here, I don't think this is going to be too controversial of an item, but I do have one question for staff for just generally cases like this. So there's going to be replatting, they're going to consolidate the lots. Will they then have to come back in and dedicate streets to comply with the block length standards of the Unified Development Ordinance at the time further down the road when they do decide that they want to develop?
Bo Dobrinsky, Planning. The site plan is for apartments, and I believe they're using driveways, and there's no further subdivision. So they would have to meet those standards if they subdivided and streets were required for those connectivity standards. I don't believe that's the case in the site plan that they've got under review as of today. Obviously, if the applicant wants to further clarify.
Is that an explicit exception in the UDO for apartments versus other kinds of development?
So the connectivity standards talk about in subdivisions and lots, and therefore wouldn't apply like interior to a commercial project or apartments or mixed use as they're currently written.
Sure, I can add to that. Matthew Carpenter with Parker Poe, 301 Fayetteville Street, here on behalf of the applicant, High Street Residential. The project is a multifamily project, and so the internal streets will be private driveways and parking lots. And so there will be no more public right-of-way dedication interior to the site, but the project does have to meet the other build-to standards, for the buildings that face the public streets, Hobson Road, and the other side. So, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. So therefore, I'll entertain a motion to permanently close in its entirety Clegg Drive.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote. I think it's going to be a short meeting tonight.
Bro.
Motion passes 7-0.
Second motion. I'll entertain a motion to amend the place type map of the comprehensive plan to designate parcels identified with REIDs 157871, 157900, 157901, and 157870, and recombined with the former dedicated right-of-way as mixed residential neighborhood.
Moved as read.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please up the vote. Please close the vote.
I appreciate, Mr. Mayor, that you waited until the vote came in to say that statement that you said.
Again, the vote is 7-0.
Thank you. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming out tonight. We are adjourned.
Cut it close, though.